Hi guys. Okay, so we are going to do Year 8 Exercise 6.5 Profit and Loss. So again, this is about the finance part of it all. So for example, when you're at a store and let's say this iPhone, for it to be built, let's say it actually costs around $800 for all the parts and manufacturing, labor, etc. $800. But for the company Apple to make profit, they are going to sell it for, let's say, 1,500. And then it's about finding the percentage of how much they've increased it by, so how much profit they're actually making. It could also be, let's say they're selling it for that much, but um, there's a loss. So it's not worth how much they're selling it for. So there's a percentage loss as well. So we're going to be looking at that. So there are a couple of different sort of mini formulas that you need to be aware of, but again, with practice, it will naturally come to you. So I want everyone to write down this title and please copy down as we go. Okay, so cost price, selling price, and percentages. So cost price is known as, if you see capital CP, cost price, selling price SP, and percentages. So like I said about the phone, if the phone is selling for more than what it's worth, you're making a profit. So to find out the profit, so we know, let's say it's $800 for the phone to be built. We're selling it for 1,600. So let's say the phone is worth $800, but I'm selling it for 1,600. I'm making a profit of $800, right? That's my profit. So what I did was I subtracted the selling price, that's how much I'm selling it for, with the cost price, which is that. Cost price is how much it cost for it to be made. Um, Sorry, just give me one sec. I just had to pause the video. Let's say there was a loss. So for example, you're putting so much money, but you're not getting much money in return. So it will be the opposite. So let's say the cost price was, let's say, $2,000, and the selling price was, let's say, you can't actually make a profit. I need to sell it for $1,000 because no one's actually buying it for anything more. So obviously I've lost money here. I've made a loss of $1,000. So just to reiterate, let's say it cost $2,000 to make this phone. I put it into the market and I want to sell it for $3,000, but no one's buying it. But I need to sell these phones. So I'm going to drop it to $1,000, which is half of what I used to make it. So it's $1,000 loss for me. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. Just give you a general idea of what the selling price is and what the cost price is. But you'll see when we do more questions. So let's have a look. So this is when percentages are involved. So I want everyone to copy this down. So selling price, let's say you make a percentage profit. Let's say I made a profit of 50%. Again, I'll show you how to work it out. So what you do is, let's say I've made, oh, sorry, let's say if it's a profit and I've worked out the percentage. So I could have made, what it's saying, let's say I made a 50% profit. So I'm going to add it of the cost price, so which means I made 150% profit. If I had a loss, then let's say I'm going to subtract it, let's say it was 80% loss of the cost price. So it'll be like this. I lost 20%. Again, these will all make sense when we do questions. This is just like the theory, but seriously, when you guys do the questions, it's going to be much easier. Okay. This is question number 1. So let's actually do a question, and then you'll see how to apply what we've learned. So I want everyone to copy this down. Ronan operates a sports store at a fixed profit margin of 65%. So what that means is he's making a profit of 65%, which is pretty good. How much would he sell a pair of running shoes that cost him $40? So he's got these running shoes for $40. he needs to increase the price by 65% to make that 65% profit, right? So the keywords you need to know when you can pause the video, write this question out. The things you need to know, it says profit, 65%, cost, and how much he would sell for. So these are the keywords you need to know. So I would get a highlighter and highlight these. Okay, so just give me 1 second, let me just have a look properly. Okay, so this is related to the previous slide here. So if we look at this, the selling price is 100% plus the percentage profit, how much he wants to make of the cost price. And it could be the percentage loss as well. So you have to look at the question, be like, are we talking about percentage profit or are we talking about percentage loss? So if we go back to the question, we are looking at percentage profit. That means we need to add whatever that percentage is to 100. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So let me just get the pen. The color. So what we're going to do is selling price. You know, it's going to be 100% plus the percentage profit, which is 65% of what we're selling the shoes for, $40. So I'm going to rewrite this. 100 plus 65 is 165%. And yes, the percentage can be over 100. Again, this is why we see it over 100 when we're making profit. Of, we're going to change this to multiplication and 40. And then we're going to work it out. So 165%, we know it can be written as this, right? There are two ways you can work it out. I can convert this 165. We can also convert this to a decimal. So we can make this 1.65 times 40. So there are two methods you can use. You can use this method or this method. If you're comfortable with using decimals and multiplying, do the second method. If you're comfortable with doing fractions, like we've been doing so far in this topic, you can do this method. Once I've worked this out and simplified it, done all that, the shoes cost $66. So what that means is the shoes cost $40 to make. For Ronan to make a profit of 65%, he is going to sell it for $66, and that's how he gets a profit. And he's got this extra money, so really he's got extra $26 in his pocket. And that's how businesses actually work. So hopefully that makes sense. We're going to do another question the opposite way. Okay, so this is question 2. So we're going to highlight, I want you guys to copy this down as well, and then highlight what I'm going to highlight. David bought a surfboard for $300 and he sold it at a 20% loss. So obviously when he was trying to sell it, he couldn't sell it for more than $300. He had to sell it for less and he lost 20%. So we need to work out how much he was selling for. So we know that if we go back to this slide here, we're looking at percentage loss. So we need to subtract. So remember, Ronan's question we added because it was a profit. David's scenario, because it's a loss, we are going to subtract. So I'm just going to do it here. So the selling price, I'm just going to SP. We do 100% minus 20% of the $300. 80% of 300. I can do it this way, simplify it, or I could do it this way. We know it's 0.8 times 300. If I were to simplify, I could cancel out these zeros like this. 80 times 3 is what I'm left with, which is 240. So that means David sold his surfboard for $240. Therefore, he lost 20%. That's what that 20% value is. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Please pause the video, look back, and rewatch it if you need to. We've got one more little thing to do, and that's it. Okay, so this part, profit or loss is usually calculated as a percentage of the cost price. So if we go back to these questions, see how we got 20% loss, 65% profit. So how did I actually work out the percentage? So now we're going to do the other way. So these are some important formulas you need to know. To work out the percentage profit, you do profit over cost multiplied by 100. Percentage loss will be loss over cost times by 100. So obviously you see cost is always going to be the denominator, and the numerator is going to change accordingly depending on what you're going to work out. Okay, a music store buys CDs at $15 each and sells them for $28.95. So obviously there's a profit, right? So $15 each, $28.95. What is a percentage profit made? So the first step you do is calculate the profit made on each CD. So we need to work out how much is increased it by. So in this case, to work out the profit, you write it like this. Profit equals $28.95 minus $15. He's made a profit of $13.95. That's the first thing. The question is asking a percentage profit. So it's not asking about the profit, it's asking percentage profit. So remember, if we go back to the formula, we know he's got a profit. You put it over the cost, so how much it costs for him to sell it, or how much it costs for him to sell the CD, times by 100. So it cost him $15. That's how much he paid for it. So what you do is you do percentage profit. This is the next line that you write. You do $13.95 over 15. Oh, I might get rid of the dollar sign. Times by 100. This one, I'm happy for you to put in your calculator and work it out. This comes to 93%. So the profit is, if I were to write it out in sentences, the profit is 93 of cost price. Apologies for my writing. But that's it. So first thing you do when you get a question like this is when it's asking for percentage profit or percentage loss, you find out either or. So in this case, we're finding out the difference. You put it over the cost price and you multiply by 100. And for these questions, you can use a calculator. I don't mind. Hopefully that makes sense. Do I have another question? No, that's pretty much the same thing. I want you guys to do questions 1, 3, 4, and 5 for the rest of the period. See how you go. If you want more practice questions, do 7 and 12. Check your answers. I know this was a longer video than usual, but like I said, there was a lot to go through. But again, I will do more practice questions with you next lesson. Okay, I'll see you guys later.